Hi guys, this is the second part of my beginning my Invisalign journey. I've actually had my Invisalign for about 2 days now, so I wanted this video to be about kind of what starting the process was like, what I had to do, and what my experience in the first couple days here is. So it was actually a year ago that I went in for my first consultation with the orthodontist. My son and myself both went in at the same time. Well, at that time, they suggested that my son actually wait a while to get his started, and we kind of elected to go ahead and delay my start as well with it, and we were just going to kind of do them at the same time. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to begin them this year, so when I kind of realized I was going to be able to, I got very excited and started it as quickly as I could. I didn't actually need another consultation. They said since I was an adult, you know, the teeth wouldn't be all that different. So at that point, I scheduled to come in for a scan. Now, they used to do this clay stuff where you would bite, and I've heard horror stories about how awful that stuff tastes. Thankfully, I have never had to have that experience because now they have this light tool that they put in your mouth, and they go around and scan all your teeth. And the computer basically takes an image of your teeth, which is then sent off to Invisalign, and they come up with your treatment program and all of that. So you have to wait at that point for the trays to come back in, and when they came back in, they called me and I scheduled an appointment to come in and have my first trays put in. Now, part of the Invisalign experience is also having attachments put on your teeth to help the Invisalign work with your mouth. The way it's working through my orthodontist, and I don't know if this is true for everybody, but he has me doing 2 trays first, and then on my next appointment I will come back in and have those attachments put in, and so I will be doing a video at that point to show what that experience is like. But for right now, I just have my first 2 trays that are given to me to deal with over the next 4 weeks. It's actually going to be a little less than 4 weeks because my appointment was scheduled just short of that. The way this worked for me was they called me, I set an appointment, I came back in, and they gave me these trays and they gave me the instructions concerning them. It was a very quick appointment. They said the next appointment will actually be an hour long or a little longer depending on how long it takes, but this appointment was really short, like I would say about 15 minutes, maybe slightly longer, only because I was waiting for the orthodontist to be done in another room to come back in and look at how they looked in my mouth. The scan was very easy. They blow air in your mouth, which kind of dries your mouth out. But other than that, I mean, it's really no big deal. And they actually took pictures for progression shots for themselves as well. So that was all part of that first appointment. This appointment was literally the lady was giving them to me, showing me how to put them in, showing me how to take them out, giving me the instructions about cleaning them, and then having the orthodontist come in and make sure they were fitting the way he liked them. And then they gave me whitening gel. So I want to show you a few of the things that I got at the first appointment. I know some people I've seen get like full boxes of their trays. My orthodontist does not do that. Instead, at this appointment, I just got my first 2 trays, which come in these little envelopes. My 1 tray is in my mouth, and then the next set is in here. I'll explain these a little more fully as I go. The other thing I got was 2 cases. This is the blue one, and I got a red one too. I actually put the red one in my purse so that I would always have one with me. I got an instruction booklet, and the lady actually was laughing, saying, you know, it looks like it's a pretty thick book, but the reality is it's in like 5 different languages, so really it's only a few pages of instructions, and they are pretty much about what the orthodontist is telling you, and all that information. So I will give you some of that information going forward here. That all came in this box, which, you know, it's the Invisalign box, and it just had the tray holders and stuff in it. And then my orthodontist actually provides free of charge, and it's not really free because you're paying an abundant amount, but it's extra anyway that they're giving to you. A whitening kit that you can use if you choose. You don't have to, but it's if you want to, and with my stains on my teeth, I certainly want to. This was actually a pretty strong amount, and you put it inside the trays. You just use your Invisalign trays as whitening trays. You put it in there and then you clean it out. It's a real simple procedure. Okay, so I want to show you my trays, but I won't show you the ones that are actually in my mouth. What I'll do is just show you the following trays, the ones that haven't been worn yet. These are actually really cool. They're just these little arches, like they kind of feel like just plastic. You'd be amazed at how expensive they are. So this is my top teeth here and my bottom lip teeth. I hope this isn't too blurry. Let's see. There you go, there's my bottom teeth. Crooked mess that they are. And then they are marked. I don't think it'll show up on camera, but there's little labels on the back of them so that if you don't have them in a package or you misplace them, you don't know which ones they are labeled on there. I don't really think it comes up on camera really well. It's very light. In fact, I had to put my finger behind it to be able to read it. And these go in your mouth. They just pop right in. You change them every 2 weeks. And they slowly over time shift your teeth in the position that they're supposed to be in with the help of the orthodontist and the work that he does in the meantime. They also, like I said, will be doing attachments at some point in my mouth. So like I mentioned, I went in about 2 days ago to have them put in. They are in right now. I mean, you almost can't even tell, I feel like, unless you are really looking at my mouth up close. And I don't even know then that everybody would know what they were looking at unless they had experience with them. I was actually really surprised with how clear they were because I had seen other videos and I felt like, you know, you could kind of see them, but when I popped them in, they were, everybody, even the people in the orthodontist office, were saying they couldn't believe that I had them in. And I actually had my mom waiting out in the lobby for me, and when I walked out, she was like, "You have them on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they're on there." And she's like, "Really?" You know, you couldn't really tell that they were there. So if you're looking for something that you can't really see, they really are good at that. I feel like, I'll come up closer with them on at some point, but I feel like they're not very noticeable, like I said, unless maybe you've really experienced them, so you might know what to look for in somebody's mouth. There is an issue of a bit of a lisp. However, I picked it up pretty quickly, how to move my mouth around and stuff, to where I feel like it's a little bit there, but it's not that severe. And I was talking pretty well pretty quickly. Again, that even the people in the orthodontist office that worked there were like, "You are doing great with those in your mouth. I can't believe you just got them." However, there is issues of like buildup of spit and stuff in there, and I feel like the thing that I do is swallow quite a bit more because they get kind of trapped back behind the trays, and it's like, I don't know, it's different. It kind of pools differently than if I didn't have them in. I was a little worried about achiness since I had heard that some people had pain kind of initially. I didn't the first day really at all, except for something else that I will talk about that was unrelated to actually moving the teeth. But it didn't start to ache until I was about halfway through the first day, and that was about lunchtime, and I did kind of notice, wow, my teeth are starting to ache and this is uncomfortable. I would describe it as like the same as a mild headache. Like, it's there, I feel it, but it might be affecting me a little bit. Overall, I'm not really noticing at this point. I kind of expect that to change a little bit when I get the attachments, at least at first. But I think it kind of falls into the background. It's not so bad that it's heavily present. Other than that, one of the first things that happened initially is that the trays are not finished or sanded off. And so they do in some places have some sharp edges, and they will tell you, and I've heard other people say it, and they told me that you can take an emery board or file and kind of file it down a little bit if you notice a spot that's bugging you. Well, unfortunately, it took me a little bit to figure out exactly where that spot was, and I had cut a cut on my tongue on the other side before I could find that spot and get it right. Like, I was for 24 hours like trying to find this spot that was hurting, and I actually have a sore on the underside of my tongue. I think I finally have gotten the spot taken care of, but now there's that cut there. And every time I would swallow, my tongue would rake across it, and it would cause it to get worse, and it hurt. Like, I was very irritated about that, and I kept trying to find that spot exactly, because I think when I put it in my mouth, it would cause part of it to flare out, versus when I popped it out, I couldn't find that flared out spot. I know that sounds weird, but the tongue I just couldn't figure out where it was hitting it because it was happening when I swallowed or when I talked. So it wasn't just a resting position that it was being irritated. So anyway, I was kind of discouraged by that a little bit because I thought, man, every time I change my tray, I'm going to have to find those spots and file them out. I don't like that part of it at all. Honestly, was just very unhappy with my hurting tongue. And so I think kind of my first 2 days of this has been slightly grumpy and irritable about it just because it's this brand new thing in my mouth and there's this minor achiness and then I have a cut tongue and there's this whole new thing about routine. Oh, I should talk about that too. So my routine has to change a little bit because you can't eat with them in your mouth and you can't drink anything but water with them in your mouth. It has to come out in order to eat and drink other things. And you're only supposed to have them out a maximum of 2 hours per day, which kind of seems like a lot until you start realizing that time just goes by really quick. And for me, one of my biggest parts of this is not actually eating, since I eat on a fairly regular schedule. That's not a big deal, but I am a person who drinks all throughout the day and always have. I drink a lot of water, but I also will have tea and some soda, and it's just, I almost always have a drink. And so to just entirely switch that to water is going to be a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm doing it right now. I'm 2 days in and I've taken them out. I've only drank other things when I have meals, but I think that's part of it too, is like I'm only supposed to have them out for 2 hours a day. So I go pop them out for food. Well, that pretty much takes up the whole time. So there's not really a time I feel like I can just pop them out and have a glass of tea and then pop them back in. Largely because I don't just guzzle drinks, I sip on them. That's a whole other thing. That's just my personal habits. The other thing is like my nighttime routine of the way I take my vitamins and everything right before I go to bed. And I've had to alter some of that since some of them are chewable. There's just been some having to change the way I do things personally. I'm just a very routine-oriented person simply because I find that's the only way for me to remember stuff. If I don't have a routine, then I forget to do stuff. So it's going to throw me off for a little bit. I'll get it down. It's not a big deal. I'd rather have straight teeth than you know, I'm good. But it just is something that I have to deal with. And so the first 2 days have kind of been one of just irritability and like, ugh. Okay, I got to deal with this. I got to be a grown-up. You know, I got to pull up my big girl panties and deal with the fact that there's just stuff in my mouth. And of course there's a choice there to do Invisalign over doing braces, because with braces I could drink stuff all day long if I wanted to. However, I would never be able to take them out, and it would limit what kind of foods I could have and that sort of thing. For me, it was never an issue of seeing the braces. I wouldn't have cared one way or another to have those in my mouth. In fact, one of the things that caught my attention was, because I am wearing Invisalign, the people who don't know that I'm wearing anything don't know that anything's going on. You know, it's like I just have these, I don't know, I kind of after the fact kind of thought maybe I should have, but the thing is that I'm a vegetarian at this point, and so a lot of ways I get my protein are from things like nuts and seeds, plus I eat a lot of raw vegetables, and I like a lot of crunchy things, and so I wouldn't be able to do a lot of that with regular braces. All in all, it probably works out better for me to have these. So I'm kind of rambling here, and this video is getting kind of long. I want to show you my teeth up close, the way they look with the Invisalign in there. As I mentioned in my last video, it is just kind of embarrassing for me to come up close to the camera, simply because I don't like the way my teeth looks, and yeah, it's very uncomfortable for me. The thing I will say is that I have noticed that with these in, my teeth look shinier. Just like not much has changed just in the first 2 days of wearing them, but they look kind of shinier, and I feel like they stand out more, which for teeth that I don't like the way that they look right now is making me kind of uncomfortable that they seem like they stand out a bit. But you know, we'll get there. It's coming. They're getting work done. I don't know what else to say, and I'm sorry for rambling so long. So let me come in close and show these bad boys to you here, and try not to be embarrassed about it. Here, I'm gonna zoom myself in. Okay, so here we are. They are in right now. You see, I mean, I feel like it's pretty hard to notice. If you look close, you can kind of see them there. But yeah. And as you can see, I have quite a bit of an overbite. So I will be back in about 4 weeks or so with the update with when they put my attachments in. I believe they're also putting my rubber bands in at that time to help with the overbite. And you can see a little bit of progression then. If you have any questions or there's anything that I've forgotten, please feel free to leave a comment below. Also, I will provide a link to Invisalign's website in the little doobly-doo below, so if you want to go see what they have to say about Invisalign. So this is supposed to be approximately a 2-year journey, so I'd love it if you'd subscribe so you can kind of keep up to date with the videos as they go along. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you in about a month. Bye.